The Japanese are getting ever better in consolidating their position in the Pacific theatre. After recently destroying a massive battleship task force and a secondary surprise invasion task force from the Allies, the Japanese are setting a very staunch defence across their borders in the Pacific theatre. With the recent recapture of Iwo Jima and a staunch defence of Okinawa, the Japanese are now able to project their newly found supplies properly across their Philippines bases. With the majority of the Japanese aircraft carriers in active service, and both Yamato-class battleships in good service as well, the question remains for the Allies: how should they advance into the Pacific next, if at all possible? Hello my good students, welcome back to our War on the Sea Let's Play series as the Imperial Japanese Navy. Today we are thinking about expanding a little further into the Philippines here. We might have time to think about invading Tawi next. That's going to be on our list, maybe even Brunei, because of that upgraded airfield as well for us there. We'd only have to upgrade the ports there to a level 3, and that'd be a very nice base indeed for us. But first on our list of jobs to do is reinforce the supplies across our existing Philippines bases over here, so that we do have a decent defence, and so that we can springboard off of that into the Dutch East Indies down here. So what we're going to do, well, do we have any fuel and engineering on Kure? We have a lot of fuel and engineering on Kure, and I think really we need to stock up our engineering task force and start getting some of that about. Really need to replenish our engineering and fuel on Sasebo for use in emergency reinforcement. So we'll get some onto Okinawa as well, so we can replenish our aircraft there, and we'll double check. Oh yeah, we need some on Keelung as well, and Kaohsiung would be very nice indeed. So where is the engineering task force? That should be in range to manage cargo. It certainly is. So we're going to get some engineering, of course, on our Wensho Marus here. That's a lot over there. That'd be very, very useful indeed. We'll of course stock up as much fuel as we can as well, and we'll even take some supplies, just a little bit, on our destroyer escorts there as well. And the first port will be, if we go of course to Sasebo, then down to Okinawa, and then of course the Formosa bases would be very nice indeed. How are we looking on Hong Kong? We do have a fair few troops, supplies and such over here, but we don't have an airfield, so the engineering and fuel is a little bit wasted at the moment, but we can go ahead and upgrade that immediately. The integrity is only 50, which is very interesting indeed. That should be increasing. We'll have to watch over the next couple of days. We will get resupplied on day 175, and that will be the start of June as well, which is excellent. We get on the 11th of June access to our Akizuki class destroyers. As a reminder, we are looking very nice on our invasion of Iwo Jima, so when we do get resupplied, we'll want to put some more supplies and engineering and fuel on there as well, so we can upgrade back to a level 1 airfield at least, and give that some sort of personal defence. We do have some sort of American task force down here, led by a Tennessee battleship. We will have to watch out for that. I'm not overly comfortable engaging that with our Supply Interceptor 2 task force. The two Congos there will be very susceptible to the battleship guns. But with two Congos there, it is possible we could take us on fairly quickly. But as we saw in the previous episode, just a heavy cruiser was enough to do some fairly decent damage to our Congo in this task force. In fact, 24 modules damaged, but nothing too permanent. So we should be able to survive that fairly fine indeed. However, we will be sending that to resupply at Kure over the next couple of days, because that is very low on ammunition. Otherwise, that's really our immediate plans at the moment. Once again, scouting, spotting, maybe deal with this submarine as well. If we once again detach some destroyers over here, I think we'll take the Kagero, Sasho and Makanami over here. If we split those off and bring that over here, they might just be able to make it in time. We will of course attach some Emily's launch with depth charges as well to deal with that, but we need to get there very quickly before we lose sight of this submarine. So that may or may not happen. Otherwise, let's keep going and see what we can do today, shall we? Well, it appears we've caught up to that submarine, but just as our Emily's ran out of fuel, so it is just our destroyers over here to detect, and we are in a line formation. We're going to have to start moving out as quickly as possible. We'll increase our speed here a tad so that we can move out and dodge torpedoes, which are currently unspotted. We might have to just increase our speed here as well. You can see the sea state is absolutely terrible at 5, visibility is 21%, and with the rain on top, we're going to have a very hard time spotting this submarine with our sonars. So we are trying to, there we go, we can see some torpedoes to our port over here. We're going to have to turn out, maybe even slow down even more over here. We'll just go to a straight up reverse over here with our Makinami. That should be okay to dodge that, and we'll watch out. Our Sashio shouldn't be in any difficulty over there. We will start turning round. So that's an interesting position for that submarine. Going to just increase our speed here, not so that we can get a perfect sonar contact there, but so that we can turn around and eventually turn on our sonar correctly. Going to turn to our starboard here so that we can face our bow towards that submarine and then get a decent sonar contact over there, hopefully. And we should have turned around fine here, so we are going to reduce our speed once again. We're going to go very, very slow indeed. Can we look underwater to see if we can spot that, just abuse that a tad? But we can't see anything just yet, unfortunately. So this might be a case of just dodging and leaving, really. And that's quite the shame indeed. That's going to come down to that. But we are quite late into the evening. It's 20 minutes-ish to 8 in the evening. So our Emily's actually not able to stay in the air either, despite being low or even high on fuel. So let's see, can we stop here and start to get a decent sonar contact here? No sign of a submarine moving towards us. So it may well have just lost that, and that will survive another day. No, here it is. Excellent. So it is moving to our starboard bow here if we go from the map. So we're going to turn in with the Sashio here. And what we're going to do is actually stop with our Kagero and move up, I think, with our Makinami as well. That can actually increase its speed to catch up with that. I think the Sashio here will be the one to actually try and sink that. If we just roughly identify a American submarine, we're going to go for a Gator once again because they've been very popular with the Americans recently. That is increasing our solution, so that might actually be correct. We're going to have to be very careful though with our angles. We're going to increase the time compression here, and we have lost sight of it, so we're going to have to slow down again with the Sashio. Should really have turned the Kagero, I think, but not to worry. There we go, pretty much on top of it here. So we're going to slow down once again. It's going to be very difficult to adjust here. We might just have to slow pretty much to a halt and get some depth charges ready. Get quite a few off. We'll get a launch of 4 off. And that should be very nice indeed. We bring the Makinami up once again, try and follow around here-ish. Ah, it is an S-class. Okay, interesting. We're going to have to start launching our depth charges anyway, I think. I think we start launching them now, so it does move into our zone there. No wonder it was difficult to spot then. S-class, very, very stealthy. Hard to detect indeed. Some very short-range torpedoes as well. So that will explain its position. And it's just stopped directly under us. That suggests we've damaged its propellers and engine rather heavily already. You can see this particular depth charge landing right on top of them. Very, very nice indeed. And it is sinking very, very nice indeed. Very, very nice indeed. Look at that. And it has exploded. And of course, no damage to our Sashio, even though we were right on top of that with our depth charges. So, very nice little catch there. Can only hope that was the only one. From my experiences, S-classes do like to hunt in packs, but we didn't sight any other torpedoes, so that's all we can do there. Well. The two submarines outside of Midway have sighted rather a large invasion task force over here. Well, actually, it looks more like a massive battle force, to be honest. Can't spot any cargo ships over here. It appears that the Queen Elizabeth battleship has merged with another task force, doubling up on the Queen Elizabeths over here. Unfortunately, I did say, this is a rule I'm going to try and stick to, that these two submarines will not harm any ships outside of Midway. I think it's just a little too much on the cheesy side, even for me, just to camp right on their home port and get everything directly out of there. But this is likely going to move towards us now. Let's get a closer look to see exactly what we have over here, trying to identify the light cruisers. So I have a Brooklyn over here and a Brooklyn over here. I did see, I think, a county somewhere. Yeah, here is one, and we have an Omaha as well. So two Queen Elizabeths, a heavy cruiser, a few light cruisers. It is absolutely going to hurt. We need to engage us with some air cover and some Yamato, I think, in the future. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, keep our scouting going, and just make sure that we're in position ready to hit this, I think, later in the future. So that will take some time to get over to us. But we're not going to hit it now. Like I said, it's a little too much to camp right outside their HQ and hit them as they exit that. So let's keep going and keep an eye out, I think. Okay, so we are now in a position where we can resupply and rearm our Musashi task force. We have done so, but that has removed a lot of these supplies on Kure here. We have, of course, already prepared some supplies as such to reinforce Iwo Jima specifically with this particular supplier task force, and I think as well we might want to drop off some supplies because this is a hell of a lot of supplies to give one particular base. We're going to start sending these towards our Philippines bases because now we do have actually control of Iwo Jima once again. We don't need loads and loads of supplies though. It is actually more troops that we need. I'll just double check that we have truly launched some troops. We do have some on our destroyers. The idea really though was to let Kure replenish its amount of troops there so that we can springboard massively into the Philippines and to the Dutch East Indies. But we are going to bring up some more troops here for now. And we will completely empty out the supplies on Kure for now so that we can get that much further with them later on into the Philippines and shore up those defences. To bring some clarity, just to explain my thinking here, I want to, of course, make sure Kure, well, Iwo Jima rather, want to make sure Iwo Jima has some of its own defences here, so we're going to increase the troops and supplies to manage that. We are still burning down on those because we do still have some defenders to get rid of. And then any excess supplies we're going to put and dump into our Philippines bases so that they are there later on when we need to call on them, and in case we do get some nasty surprise allies invasions on these bases later on. So just hoping really that we can use this as a supply dump and depot to keep springboarding down south and maybe into Manila fairly soon as well. We do still have, of course, those supplies there waiting for us from our previous invasion attempt. But we do need to make sure that our troop numbers in Kure does keep building and building and building so that we can actually launch successful invasions ourselves. So we do have to wait on that still. So out of our hands, but we do need to wait on that. We have dropped off some engineering and supplies on Sasebo, and some of those have been used to replenish our air groups. We're going to drop 30 engineering and fuel on each of these bases over here, Okinawa and the Formosa bases, see what excess engineering and fuel we have, and then decide whether to send it to more Philippines bases over here to increase our integrity there so they don't reduce our airfield bases and such over there as well. Might want to drop some on Cebu, and then if we do have something excess, we might want to drop some on Iwo Jima. We are going to scout this out, but we have been fairly neutral towards cargo ships around these areas now that we have got the 300 enemy ships sunk, really focusing mostly on the fighting forces they have, because they do seem to be, although they're patrolling with their cargo ships, they do seem to be fairly passive with them. We will scout this out because it is marked as an aircraft carrier, but I would highly bet that this is in fact just a couple cargo ships there, so I will get back to you if that is in fact a danger. Well, we did half expect that to be a carrier group, but it was only a hospital ship and another cargo ship behind that. So we have launched out some Donryus with some armor-piercing bombs, expecting there to be a larger task force. But this should be a fairly easy kill if we do drop a good few bombs onto this hospital ship here with our Donryus. So wish us luck, and hopefully we can get this down. Alrighty, so our invasion supplies have reached Iwo Jima. Let's just double check how we're looking on there to begin with. We certainly need more troops just to beat back these last defenders. So we're just going to land the troops we do have, of course, on this task force. And that is some from this particular Kokuryu Maru here. We're going to launch off some supplies here as well. That should be absolutely fine to deal with that. Just double check where the rest of the troops are. That was the only amount not to worry at all then. I could have sworn we put some on our destroyers there, but not to worry. So that should be fine over there. And that's looking very nice indeed. The balance of power has already shifted much more in our favour there. So the next thing is to put some engineering and fuel on the next opportunity we can onto Iwo Jima there, unless it gets some airfield going. So with that being said, let's move this task force down. I think we'll just move them generally to the Philippines first. So let's have a look over here. We might want some supplies on Del Monte, certainly need some on Davao, and we'll reinforce Cebu as well. So it is all three bases there. We'll try and spread some supplies as much as we can, but it might well have to go to one base really looking at it. We'll start over here and work northwards, I think. I thought we had, minor resupply over here, just making its way to truck, again with some supplies and a little bit of fuel there, so that we can perhaps upgrade this to a level 3 airfield there. That would be very nice indeed. Because we have been rather successful in defending truck. We don't necessarily need these supplies to help our troops out just yet. We do have a lot over here protecting that. So it's been a very strategic focused episode today, a lot of map staring, lots of shifting resources, so hopefully we can get a decent engagement in for you today. That is the plan at least. We have sighted something down here south of our bases. Hopefully we can catch that again, but it was only patrolling. I'll leave that as a secret at the moment. Alrighty, so something has turned up outside of Guam, and I've got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, it's marked as a battleship, it's certainly a fighting force. And it's actually that little surprise I hinted towards previously. So we have a South Dakota class battleship here, the second and only remaining battleship of its class. And we have an Atlanta as well guarding it, and a County. So with this being so close to Guam, we have launched some Donryus from Guam armed with 800 kilogram AP bombs. We've launched some Vals from Shokaku and Kates from the Kaga. Now the aim here is, of course, we have the priority of the battleship to sink here, but we also might want to think about getting rid of the County as well, and that is simply because it's certainly going to try and bombard either Guam or Saipan, and these two ships are the ships going to do it. The battleship, of course, will do the most damage, but of course a heavy cruiser will certainly do something as well. So what are we going to do to try and counter this? We're going to line up with both of our Donryus, and the Donryus are going to try and hit the battleship. Now we're all going to come from the rear here, like so. That should be fine there, really. Let's get that over. Just move a little bit so we can turn into that a bit better. Excellent. And what we'll do is roughly half of our vowels here should be able to go for the battleship if we box up with those to begin with. Get half of those to slow down the battleship for us so that the Kates can come in and get a slower moving target. And we're going to focus, I think, half of the rest of our vowels, I think, onto the county to try and slow that down as well. Now, we do of course have that Atlanta to think about. That will shoot down a lot of our planes, and especially a lot of our Kates, I think, will go down today. And that is unfortunately a risk we're going to have to take here. We're going to form up our Kates into groups of 4 and come with an anvil attack, and pinch them up, and try and come from 2 separate sides for both of these enemy ships here, so that they can't maneuver so easily against us, of course, and hopefully get a greater amount of hits on them because of it. Now with the Kates, we are going to come down from the southern area first, I think. Try and come rather wide to give our bombers and such some time to attack. We don't need to go full speed with our Kates, but we are going to go to an attacking altitude. We'll just slow down a tad here with these groups to roughly 170 knots there. And we'll come down once again over here. We'll bring up 2 for the battleship here, I think. We'll just change that order around so that we do go for the battleship primarily. And we'll do the same with this group, I think. Come round over here, like so. We'll keep that speed fairly high because that does need to go the extra distance. I'll do that again over here, I think. Just come as wide as we can so we can turn in and get that. Actually, we'll keep that speed high again, once again. And we do have a couple more groups of Kates over here. We'll keep 2 for the county, of course. We'll come wide once again, come around like that, and reduce our speed for that so that it does allow our bombers some time to hit that. I'll do the same again for this particular group. This one does have to make some extra distance, so we'll keep that fairly quick and target the county there. So let's see how our movement goes first. We are going to try and keep a high speed with our vowels to start with, because they do like to go to a very, well, not a very slow speed, but slower than top speed when they're given an attack order. And I want them to move in as quickly as possible before the enemy starts firing on them. So hopefully we should be able to slow down the battleship and the county with our bombs, and especially those 800 kilogram bombs. I would like a few of those to hit, especially to really penetrate the deck of the battleship here. It's a question of whether our Kates will get in on time before that, so I think we should slow right down here actually with our Kates, and we've got to reduce the altitude over here, but not to worry. Do still have some time to correct that, and we'll slow down once again with our Kates over here. Do need to let our bombers in, of course, very nicely indeed. We'll just wait. We'll let our Donneries give them an attack order now. I think we will give them a break and attack order, just to make sure they do go in. It's one less thing for us to think about. We'll watch our vowels, let them get a tag closer before we give them the attack order there. Just make sure we are a tag closer. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. They're not opening up just yet. I think we'll attack from here. And we can do the same over here. Give them some time to maneuver around for that. So we should be about to dive. Should be about to drop as well around the battleship here. We need that to happen quickly because you see our northern Kates are coming into position now. At least for the county. Let's get rid of that UI, see what we're doing. Can't stay on this for too long though, we do still have to watch our Kates. Come on. That's a lot of vowels, we're losing a lot of vowels though. Need a lot of hits for this. Some duds already. How are we looking on this county? Very nice, very central hits indeed. We need to watch out for these Kates though because they're getting so much closer. Let's attack from here. with this group. And I think now we can speed up with the rest of our Kates doing the southern attack here. I think we'll just realign our attack here. Let's bring them out a little further to that broadside. How are we doing over here? Let's increase our speed once again because the enemy will start to fire out on our Kates, and that's not something we really want. Once again, we are going to lose a lot of Kates over here. Let's just bring them around a little better to be a little more perpendicular with that battleship, I think. I'll do the same with this group as well. And how are we going with these 800 kilogrammers? Are we going to get any hits? Just missing there. You see the splashes. That was the larger bombs there. I was very unlucky not to get any at all there. Very, very sad about that. How are our Kates doing on the county here? Don't know about that line, but it's fairly decent. Enough time for our torpedoes to activate. It is turning into them there. It's not looking so bad, is it? Going to have to watch out for our southern Kates though, because I'm not liking that particular approach either, especially since the county is actually turning now. We're going to have to be very careful about that. Let's keep the map up to keep an eye on that. That is 4 torpedoes on the county. That might well be going down with just that one attack. Let's have a look. Critical to critical. Ooh, do I get greedy here? We need to watch out for these Kates though. They're getting a little too close over here. We need to tell them to attack, and is that going to happen? Is that going to be fine? Is that going to be enough distance? They don't have to wiggle around with that. Ah, they do. This is the thing. Need to keep an eye on these things. Need to really keep an eye on these things. Let's form up once again. What's happened to the... the number 12 is behind there, not to worry. Just double checking this formation. That's the rear there, not to worry. Not liking this. Really not liking this. Might just have to risk a manual drop here. Slow down a tad. And just get some emergency torpedoes off before we go down there. Hopefully that was even enough time really for the torpedoes to arm there. Looks like it is leading a little too far ahead there, but these Kates should be getting in fine. And we need really, I think, to just double check on this cruiser as well. How are we doing with our southern Kates for the South Dakota? It's turning just a little too much for us there, isn't it? Really is turning a little too much for us. Not liking that. Gonna have to come very, very wide here and spend more time in their AA. And in fact, I think we'll send this group out to attack the South Dakota as well. We are gonna have to reduce their speed a little to help out their turn. I think for the best, really. Yeah, losing a lot of Kates on that approach, but I think they did all drop. Let's turn around here and tell them to attack its rear. We did lose the county, which is excellent. And this might only get the one torpedo, even if we're lucky there. I think that's just passing round. No, it did get the bow. Very nice indeed. Now this should get one torpedo at least on the stern if we don't lose everything there. That's what I'm hoping for. We're going to drop. We're dropping just there. There's a lot of fires on that bow, isn't there? Oh, this is not the best torpedo attack at all. It's just very good on their maneuvers here. Very, very good. Which is why we really needed a lot of bomb hits. Really, another attack onto the bow there. Very nice indeed. That's moderate to moderate despite the heavy fires. And I imagine flooding now onto that bow area. I think we're going to have to tell this group to attack before we lose too many as well, really. Starting to lose a few, aren't we? Absolutely starting to lose a few Kates. Tell them to attack from here. Looks like it is struggling with its maneuvers now. But we're very tightly grouped up here with our Kates. A good couple flak shots will bring us down here. Oh, have we been too impatient with this attack? I think we might have been. Look at that. Maybe should have brought in some zeros to strafe down some destroyers. Are we going to be able to drop before we lose more planes? Just about. Did we lose the leading plane on that attack? I think we might have done. Just drop here unless they're dropping already. I think tell them to drop from here really, because you can see they are moving off. We did lose some Kates as well. That's the thing, losing so many Kates. It's better pay off, better bloody pay off for us. We're gonna get a couple more hits, are we? Hopefully that's enough flooding on this area to bring the ship down nose first into the sea there. That is rather a disgusting attack there. Only came out with a few Kates surviving there. Look at that. Deadly, absolutely deadly. Very rushed. Very rushed indeed. I have to see about that. We'll watch this go down. If it is going to go down, let's take an action report. Heavy damage but only moderate flooding there because we couldn't spread it out. Only torpedo hits on the nose of the ship there. Very sad about that. Let's watch it. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get it, guys. Very sad about that indeed. If we're very quick, we might be able to launch off some Kates from the Shokaku. Let's go back over here. We do have 18 Kates available to hit that. I think we should absolutely try. We need to wait 0.4 hours. So, it was the vows which were from the Shokaku, and we want to make sure we can launch off some Kates before these get landing. Otherwise, I'll have to wait even longer for that. And I think we might want to launch out. What could we launch out from Saipan actually? If they get over here quick enough. Launch out 6 Bessies. If we launch those out with torpedoes, I think that's not a bad idea either. Really, let's launch those out, see if we can get over to this battleship group before it hits Guam. And that will do for today. Very surprise engagement once again. So let's keep going if we can do that. We should be able now to get out from Shokaku. Let's get out some Kates. There we go. And now we can tell the Vals to actually return to base properly. Can we respot that? No sign of it. Should be able to. There we go. Let's move our Kates in for that. What do we have over here? Very minor engagement. We'll skip over this one. And get in on top of this battleship. We're not going to mess around this time. We're just going to send our torpedo bombers straight in on this battleship. And very luckily, we are already in a position to start an anvil attack onto this very heavily damaged battleship here. Let's see if we can get some more hits. Really spread out, actually. No more on the bow, please. Let's get our orders going. Try and finally get rid of this battleship. And that will be the last of the South Dakotas for us there. Let's make sure that we reduce our altitude here. Visibility should be getting slightly better as of course we're now later in the day. The weather is looking a tad better, so they will be able to fire out their guns a little earlier onto us. In fact, yes, 60% visibility there. So with our Kates, we are going to keep with our smaller groups here, like so. And that should help us if we do lose some Kates, which we certainly are going to lose some Kates. It's always guaranteed you lose Kates. It's what they do best, is get shot down. But it's quite the payoff. The glass cannon tactic, I think. But mostly, as we've seen now, mostly glass, no cannon. So let's keep going. We do have a single 0, which is scouting about. But I don't think that's really going to help at all here. And as we're moving, let's reduce our altitude for the rest of the Kates here. And that should be absolutely fine. Should all go well. Got enough stuff here. You can see this one's struggling, trying to disengage and maneuver away from our Bessies by the looks of it. So we're going to have to change our approach here once again. This is going to make things very difficult here. I'm hoping really that the Bettys will distract a lot of the firepower here. We are going to have to change our approach with these Kates if this is going to keep on manoeuvring like so though. Be very quick about that. Let's keep them going at slightly different angles. I think that should be fine really. So it is turning to starboard a tad, is it? Interesting. I think if we tell the Bettys to slow down, and we'll get them attacking from here anyway, so that we can focus on micromanaging our Kates a tad better. So we do have a lot more Kates to manage, and that is something we're certainly struggling with. As soon as we have more than 2 units to manage, it all goes downhill. But you can see that the Bettys are diverting the enemy's firepower to their starboard side, meaning that they're very wide open for our Kates to attack here. So let's get some attacks in, I think. And we'll give them break and attack orders for a lot of these groups, actually, so that in case we do lose the leading plane, we won't have the catastrophe that we had last time, I think. And I think actually once again we'll just come a little more from the rear with these Kates. So I'm not liking the idea of hitting their bows so much once again. Looks like they were giving a slight turn to port previously against these Bettys. That's not looking so bad now. I'm losing a few Bettys, of course. But once again, distracting their AA fire from the oncoming Kates over here. They are moving just a little too late to our Kates. We have dropped with the first group. We should be dropping over here as well. Let's make sure these Kates are now attacking, shall we? Break and attack. And break and attack from here. Thank you very much. Now with that all done, we can sit and relax and watch the torpedoes get dropped. Just not even trying to maneuver this time, which is very, very useful for us indeed, of course. And we are, ooh, very nice secondary explosion there. And we are finally spreading out this flooding. Excellent stuff. So, of course, we did hit the bow previously, which will have less torpedo protection. The bulge, of course, mostly centralised around the citadel midships, of course. But you do need to still spread your damage out. However, it is going down. Absolutely, it's going down. Is that enough time? It's not quite enough time to stop these Kates from dropping and save them. We are just going to make sure that goes down by adding insult to injury there. Just rubbing some salt in the wound for that battleship. That is very, very nice indeed. And we shall leave it there for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. That is all I have time for, unfortunately. We shall continue in the future. I've been the Edified Gamer, and I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.